What began as a seemingly small national security tariff on Canadian metals has now snowballed into a colossal $22 billion trade showdown. President Trump's decision to target Canadian steel and aluminum has unleashed retaliatory forces that are shaking North America's economic core. From the auto industry to beverage companies and tech giants, the ripple effect is far-reaching, and as electric vehicle production faces increasing pressure, both sides of the border are bracing for what's next. This isn't just about tariffs, it's a battle for industrial resilience, political leverage, and geopolitical power. Here's everything you need to know about the flashpoints, strategies, and explosive consequences that are reshaping North America's trade landscape. From steel to chaos, how Section 232 sparked the fire. The sparks of this trade war were struck back in March when President Trump invoked Section 232, slapping a 50% tariff on Canadian steel and aluminum under the guise of national security. The stated aim was to block Chinese steel entering the U.S. through Canada, but leaks soon revealed a more strategic focus, halting origin switching rather than targeting Canada itself. Ottawa quickly perceived this as a direct economic attack masked as national security rhetoric. Canada initially tried to keep its cool, launching a $3.5 billion Canadian support fund to aid local producers like Stoco and Rio Tinto. But this only led to price hikes, with Canadian steel prices jumping $308 per ton, higher than U.S. prices. The result? Surging costs across the construction and automotive sectors. By June, businesses in Ontario and British Columbia were drowning in emergency loans. But then the real tipping point arrived. During a confidential cabinet meeting, Prime Minister Mark Carney authorized a 50% tariff on $22 billion worth of U.S. exports. The news leaked within hours, causing a storm of panic on Bay Street and igniting political fury in Washington. This wasn't just a trade squabble, it was a geopolitical showdown, with Canada drawing a hard line in the sand. Carney strikes back, a tactical, science-driven response. Canada's counterstrike wasn't simply about retaliating, it was a meticulously planned strategy rooted in science, data, and political momentum. Within 48 hours, Prime Minister Carney launched a forensic audit of Canadian steel and aluminum using cutting-edge carbon data and furnace chemistry reports to dismantle the U.S. national security narrative. The strategy quickly shifted the narrative. Canada wasn't just a victim. It was a cleaner, smarter, and more environmentally responsible producer. A study revealed that Ottawa's 50% tariff on U.S. steel could raise production costs by up to $850 Canadian per SUV or pickup. That pain would hit Detroit, not Toronto. Public support surged, with nearly 70% of Ontarians backing Carney's aggressive move. He forged a broad coalition within Canada, from the NDP and Bloc Québécois to industry players like United Steelworkers and beverage companies. This wasn't just retaliation, it was a campaign advocating for climate accountability, economic justice, and national dignity.
If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more updates and content. We've got plenty more coming your way.
The Green Steel Gamble, Carney's $4.8 billion bet. But Carney didn't just play defense, he doubled down on Canada's long-term industrial future. Enter the Green Steel Accord, a bold CAD $4.8 billion initiative to modernize Canada's metal production sector with a strong focus on sustainability and climate leadership. Think beyond the tariffs for a moment. This wasn't just about counteracting the U.S. This was about positioning Canada at the forefront of the global green industrial revolution. The plan included cutting-edge technologies like electric arc furnaces in Hamilton, hydrogen-based processes in Sault Ste. Marie, and inert anode aluminum production in Quebec. These weren't mere vanity projects, they were critical strategic investments to solidify Canada's role in the EV and aerospace industries. Here's the twist. Automakers like Tesla and Ford are heavily dependent on Canadian low-carbon metals to qualify for strict U.S. tax credits under the Inflation Reduction Act. If Canada's supply runs dry or becomes too costly, it could throw a wrench into Detroit's production lines and even delay SpaceX's rocket development in Montreal. This was a calculated move designed to send a message. Canada wasn't just reacting to the U.S., it was pushing for global leadership in sustainable manufacturing. The corporate fallout: how U.S. industries are feeling the heat. The full impact of Canada's tariffs was soon felt across U.S. industries. Major automakers like Ford and GM projected losses of 45 million Canadian dollars per model cycle, with profit margins dropping by 320 Canadian dollars per vehicle. The ripple effects extended to other industries too. Aluminum can costs were set to rise by 5 cents, a significant blow to craft breweries that were already struggling to stay afloat. Although Ottawa worked to offer partial exemptions for some major producers, the damage was already evident in U.S. balance sheets and on store shelves. Politically, President Trump stuck to his guns, touting protectionist policies to rally support in the Rust Belt. However, behind closed doors, alarms were starting to sound. The American Iron and Steel Institute warned that the tariffs could reduce U.S. blast furnace utilization by 4%, risking 7,800 jobs. Even key allies like Senator Bill Haggerty broke ranks, calling the crackdown on Canada short-sighted. Meanwhile, companies like Tesla and SpaceX lobbied against the aluminum disruptions threatening their production timelines. Carney, undeterred, stayed the course, supported by a powerful domestic coalition. His strategy wasn't just about retaliation, it was about repositioning Canada as a values-driven alternative to Washington's isolationist policies. A global test case: how the world is watching. What began as a North American trade dispute soon turned into a global test case. Canada filed a formal complaint with the World Trade Organization, WTO, but with the organization's appellate body effectively paralyzed, the case could drag on for years if a verdict is ever reached. Meanwhile, other nations like Japan, South Korea, and Australia kept a close eye on Canada's 50% tariff retaliation, seeing it as a potential blueprint for future responses to U.S. protectionism. China, too, capitalized on the discord, rerouting steel through Kazakhstan and other Eurasian trade routes, silently increasing its market share as North America turned inward. Tesla's Berlin Gigafactory may now be sourcing aluminum from Indonesia, risking both higher emissions and the potential loss of EU and US green tax credits. SpaceX, reliant on Montreal's aerospace-grade aluminum, faced delays that could push critical projects like Starship upgrades into 2026. Canada, however, didn't sit idly by. The country launched a global PR campaign, branding itself as the responsible trade actor in this clash. As the world watches, this is more than just a tariff fight. It's a blueprint for future trade shaped by climate policy, technological innovation, and geopolitical rivalries. The final verdict: who's winning this steel-fueled showdown? What started as a seemingly minor tariff dispute over steel has now morphed into a high-stakes industrial chess match. Canada's 50% tariff wasn't just retaliation, it was a carefully crafted strategy, blending climate policy, economic resilience, and geopolitical messaging. Prime Minister Carney used the moment to thrust Canada into the spotlight, combining clean tech goals with bold trade policies. Meanwhile, President Trump doubled down on his protectionist rhetoric, hoping to rally blue-collar voters. But as the real-world impact hits automakers, brewers, and tech giants, those slogans may not hold up as the election nears. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every one. And don't forget to subscribe so you're always in the loop for the next big shift in the auto world.